I wanted to do a real quick video about the Dell w30000 TV, okay? Back in the early 2000s, like 2003 maybe, or 2004, Dell had a line of TVs, which also kind of doubled as computer monitors. At the time, they were being called like HD or 4K or whatever. They were not 4K. I guess it would be considered HD at that time. But they were good TVs. They were expensive. Again, they were like $3,000 for a 27-inch, roughly. And there was like the cutting edge tech at the time. And the problem is those TVs over time have started dying. And I guess because I bought one for $3,000, I've actually made it part of my life mission to keep this thing alive. I have better monitors. I have 4K monitors. I review on this channel all the time if you go back in my queue. But I like this monitor, this Dell monitor. I use it for sometimes for playing YouTube videos in the background or something, or it's just fun to have around. So it's just kind of a challenge to keep it going. And I found the most common problem if you try and power it on and just nothing's happening is the power board. And this is what this is here. And I may do an instructional video on installing it later, but I just wanted to show this real quick. And this is something you can do yourself too. But basically this is just a very simple board, and there is just some screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You really only need to use 4 screws to bolt it onto the board, and then it's very easy to connect. It just has a little pin connector that you connect through, and very easy to do. And this is something which you honestly can replace. It's kind of like a cartridge. Inside a TV there's different components, and I may show this later, but basically the power board is one board, and you just remove the old board like a cartridge or something. You just pull out the clip, take the old board, take it out of the TV set, take the new board, fit it in, screwdriver it in, 4 screws, little connector, and then you're good to go. You know, you power it on. Okay, here's some raw footage. I wasn't going to include this in the video, but you know, I decided to anyway. This is the W3000 opened up. Basically, I have the back taken off, and I've already moved a few of the screws to make it a little bit easier for the video. This right here, typically after I've repaired it a few times, actually, truth be told, I don't put all the screws back in, okay? This is an old monitor. I've had it since 2003 roughly, and even though it's sold for $3,000 originally, it's pretty much ready for the dumpster, you know. But I have this weird thing about trying to fix it, so we're gonna go ahead and try and fix this. We're gonna pop open this protective cover here. This covers the actual power supply, TV tuner, and a few other components. And you can see right here is the power supply. So this is the part we need to replace. Now, again, be very careful while replacing this. It is pretty easy though. You'll see there's basically one clamp right here, the power, okay, and a few other like light screws and connectors to take off. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this off camera because I don't want to have any problems touching something on camera with a tripod in the way or whatever, okay? So I'll be right back. Now, one interesting call out, this is the old one here, this is the new one here. Is the old one, you can see we have a heat sink right here, okay? Heat sink right here and here, okay? But in this one, they did not include those components. So if you wanted to, in a perfect repair world, you'd transfer your heatsink from here over to here and your other one here to here. Now, this could be a situation where Dell decided to revise the necessary components of the power supply, and so they left it off. It's hard to say. I'm gonna look further into this one, but for right now, I'm not gonna try and attempt to unsolder these components, the heat sinks, and put them in over here. I'm just going to use as is, because again, I've had this monitor since 2003 and I'm pretty much ready to dumpster it, but I just kind of wanted to see if I could get going because of the nature of the error, and I like to solve problems, so I wanted to check it out myself personally, because I have fixed this monitor by changing out power supplies one other time before. Okay, so I went ahead and screwed in my 4 screws, which are right there, over here, okay, and basically at each corner. Sorry about that low light. This is raw footage, but I may or may not use, but I just wanted to record this just in case. Now we actually have 4 connectors. We have one here, a ribbon cable, which I have snapped in. This one here I left unsnapped so you can hear it. It should make an audible click. Listen real closely. Hear that click? Okay, so you know it's in. We'll do this one next. Okay, and then finally the power supply one right here. There you go, 4 clicks. So basically 4 cables, again, 1 ribbon cable right here, ribbon cable number 2 there, this one right here, and this one over here. Very simple, very easy to do. And again, sorry for the messiness. This monitor is just so old, guys. I've had this W3000 for years, and I guess thinking about this more as I'm repairing it, I guess part of the reason why I have an obsession with fixing this old monitor is the fact that when I bought this, again, it was $3,000 plus, and it was like, that cost more than most computers back then, you know, so it was actually a really expensive monitor at the time, you know, so I have kind of a weird love relationship with this weird Dell monitor. One other notable thing I want to say is this right here is actually the tuner card, and this is very unique to this monitor that you could actually, it was like a cartridge you can pull out. Let me show you. This is not a digital cartridge, this is like an analog coax cartridge, but it's really interesting that they made this as a cartridge with a 9-pin connector. And I've never actually tried hooking this to a different computer to see if you could use this as a, you know, as a TV tuner card for another computer, but I kind of feel like there probably would be a workaround to making that work, because that is a universal connector on old computers, you know. But the fact they made this a cartridge style that you could just slide in, you just kind of stick it in like this, and you just push it back, just like that, and it just pops in place. You feel the pressure of it hitting, but it doesn't really click. And that's the tuner for like old school coaxial cable, you know. So very interesting they actually included that as a cartridge. I think it's the only TV I've ever seen or monitor that had a cartridge style TV tuner built into it. And again, that just goes to show this really was more of a computer component than it was like a TV back in the day. You know, it did have lots of great connectors too. Over here it did have wired sound connectors, which did go to speakers that would go on either side. Over here, really nice speakers for the time. And then over here, I might as well show this while we're in here. I had a whole host of different cable connectors: Super VHS, regular coax, red, yellow, green, just all sorts of different like RCA style connectors. But this is before like DVI or whatever, so you wouldn't have any kind of like HDMI or any other kind of connectors. For PCI, I'm sorry, I did have DVI right here, I stand corrected, and then normal monitor cable right there. So those are pretty much the connectors. But for the time, it was actually a really great monitor with a lot of different connectivity possibilities for you. So you hook a lot of stuff into this, and it was a really big monitor for playing games and just everything else back in the day. So pretty cool monitor. All right, so I got this. I'm gonna put this back together. We're gonna plug it in and see if it works. Yeah.